What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power lines that are just kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg. I'm joined today with Moses. Is it Lucerno? Is that how you pronounce it?
Lucero.
Lucero. There you go. Okay, so how you doing today, Moses?
Good, Dan. Appreciate you having me on.
Awesome, thanks. So, for those of you in the audience who've never seen a chance encounter before, the way it works is I interview commercial real estate investors. And I've narrowed down the motivations that commercial real estate investors might have down to five. I go through those different five. I say, hey, which one's you, or what combination are you? And then I reach down and I get my Dan Does Deals die with the six different roles in a commercial real estate deal. And I say, hey, which one's your core competency that you're most likely to contribute in your next deal? Because we're all looking to do more deals because that's part of prosperity and success. And if you're going to be successful, you better be able to introduce yourself effectively. So, Moses, can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Absolutely. Moses Lucero. I'm currently residing in Las Vegas, Nevada. Me and my partner, Rich, who's in Denton, Texas, we invest in Texas, Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and Florida. Currently, we have about 600 units under management, and we're looking to do deals with other individuals. We're just looking to add value and collaborate any way which we can.
All
So
right. All right, beautiful. So let's get to the first segment then. First, I hit this, which will bring up a screen. And then I hit this thing right here. And I hit slideshow. And that brings us to the motivation piece. Okay, a lot of the time when we have newbies to commercial real estate come on the show, they know their motivation, but they might not know their role. So I go through the motivation first. So the first motivation is preserving purchasing power. If your way of making ends meet is by getting the cash flow from your wealth, then inflation has to be your biggest fear, and you always have to be making more acquisitions to make that work. So that's the first reason why some people want to make more acquisitions. The next reason is my one, which is that I realize as a high earner from tech, I'm paying more income tax than anybody. As far as a percent goes. And so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense when if you just put on your thinking cap, you can pivot into becoming a GP or getting into this business. And then that way you're getting paid for your time and effort in the form of wealth. And that's really what you're trying to do anyway from getting a high income. So why not skip a step? So that's my one. The next reason is the most common one, which is that people want to fast track their retirement. And of course, there are two things that are implied there. One is that if you're in your early 20s and you're saying you're fast tracking your retirement, I'm going to say, no, you're not, because that's not how that works. And the other thing is that fast tracking your retirement also implies that there's some sort of end in mind. So, someday you're not going to want to be hustling, and who knows where that is. But that's in contrast to the next group who are super duper ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown. They're the big, multi generational legacy types, and they're going to keep on hustling even when they're in their 90s. So that's also a very handy group to have in the equation. But that's in contrast to the next one, which is that some people they have some sector of society that they really want to help, and the commercial real estate move has to do with understanding that if you want to have the biggest social impact, it's going to be through wealth. So they're accumulating wealth because they want to help. Maybe it's the environment, maybe it's some people, maybe it's animals, maybe it's Elvis. You never know. But which of those motivations really describe you best, Moses? What combination explains you best?
Honestly, I'm in line with you. I would just love to have my time back. First time father, my daughter's about to be 1 years old in 4 days, and time is an essence. I think time is probably the most valuable commodity that we have, and to be able to, retire early or, be able to get my time back to spend it how I want to, that's the huge motivator for me. So I wake up every day. I do my 9 to 5, and I remind myself like this is only temporary.
Mhm.
It's I'm on a bigger path than myself, and it's more than just me. It's to be able to help the community and spend time with family. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
it right there
Yeah.
in a
That's
nutshell.
that's really awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, for those of you in the audience that don't have much of a background in commercial real estate, I'm going to go through each of the different 6 roles here just so it's crystal clear. And I'm going to start off with a repositioner once the camera gets its act together. Maybe if I cover my face. There we go. Repositioner. Okay, so we got a couple different properties in there. We got a bunch of paperwork. And so a repositioner has to do a few things. First, they have to find the properties, but they have to underwrite it, which means they do the math, figure out if the business works. But when they are underwriting it and when they're looking at the property, they're thinking, how can I get upside? And there are 2 different ways they can get upside. One of them is through more efficient operations, less money going down the toilet. But there's more to it than just that. There's also like the leasing agent who makes sure that the vacancy rate is low. So that's a marketing play as far as making sure who can do a great job of that. Bookkeeping, that's all operations. But efficient operations can only get you so far. So the other main way that the repositioner ends up getting upside is through getting the contractor team to fix it up, make it an actually nicer place. So that way, when you ask for more rent, they'll say okie dokie smoky instead of no way Jose. But if you're like me and you're from the internet, you're going to need the locals. You're going to need the boots on the ground, somebody to check in, make sure that operations isn't blowing smoke, and same with cutting corners and making sure the contractors are finishing on time. And that's mostly what people think of when they think of the owners of a commercial real estate deal. But you're forgetting the financiers, the banks, the capital raisers, all those people. You have to borrow a bunch of money. Like if it's worth tens of millions of dollars, you have to borrow tens of millions of dollars, more likely than not. So, but the thing that the financier is going to want to know is who's the sponsor. Okay. And a lot of coaching programs, it takes a lot of time before you get any talk of the sponsor or the KP. But even if Elon Musk decides that he wants to buy a 350 unit apartment complex and he wants to get a loan for it, he's going to need a sponsor, which is somebody who already owns a similar asset. Okay, there are 2 other main restrictions. One is that you have to have a certain amount of liquidity, in other words, cash on hand, and then you also have to have a balance sheet equal to or greater than the amount of the loan. But if you got those 6 pieces, you got a commercial real estate deal. So Moses, which of those is your core competency, or what are you most likely to bring to your next commercial deal?
So a little bit of my background, like I was a acquisitions analyst for an investment firm here in Las Vegas. They did focus on multifamily. So that's definitely my core competency is the repositioner. Definitely a numbers guy, spreadsheet guy. Love underwriting deals. I love trying to make deals work, but not forcing them. So just, being responsibly aggressive on assumptions, just market research, market data. I just love to just get there, and that's probably what I can bring my value to the table. Second would probably be capital raising. I'm horrible at it, but this is not stopping me from trying to do it. So
Right, right. Gotta know a lot of people. Gotta know a
yeah, exactly.
lot, like a lot, and
Yes.
that's good stuff. And one of my favorite things about commercial real estate is that everybody is so helpful, and I chalk it up to the fact that nobody is all of the faces at any time, and so
Absolutely.
you need help in some of the other faces. But without breaking any SEC restrictions, so no enticing investors. That's a big fat no-no.
Nope, nope.
Can you please describe the real estate person that you're better suited to help out than others? Like maybe it's a beginner, maybe it's an operator, maybe it's a porcupine. I don't know.
Ooh. Well, someone kind of like a yin to my yang, essentially.
Sure, whoever you can help more than anybody else.
Oh man, I've noticed I'm pretty helpful to the newbie investors, just on the underwriting aspects, because to me, I think underwriting is a great foundational piece that you need to know, whether you like it or not. You have to know it, because if you're a strict capital raiser, you got to know what you're selling. So with a lot of newbie investors, they overlook the underwriting aspect, or they don't take it seriously enough. And I think I'm pretty effective when I help new investors just, underwrite deals to the basics, how are you deriving your assumptions, your returns, so you don't sound like a complete jamoke when you're going to promote a deal,
Mhm.
or you're trying to gain interest in commercial investing. But I kind of think that's something I'm pretty effective at. And it's kind of helped me with the capital raising side of it too, just
Mhm.
consistently educating people. Sometimes seasoned investors. I love talking to seasoned investors as well, because just getting a mastermind going and collaborating, we toss around ideas, and we think of things that we didn't even think of before. It's just always good to get different perspective. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
That's good stuff. And earlier on, when you were introducing yourself, you gave some details as to your buy box, aka your ideal property. But let's flesh that out a little bit. And just so you and the audience know what I'm talking about, when you're talking about your ideal property, that's going to be the unit count, that's going to be the geographic area, and it's going to be the class of the property. And so Moses, your ideal property, the property where it's easier to say yes, more difficult to say no. What you're looking for?
Well, we like conventional multifamily. So you're kind of your 1975, 1980 years or newer, C plus properties. Obviously your typical value add. We'll look at anything in the Sun Belt region. We've kind of narrowed it down to Texas and Georgia is kind of where our hyper focus is right now. Only one, because we've already have properties existing in those areas. So, but we're not afraid to look, like I said, in the Carolinas, Tennessee, or Florida. Uh, yeah, just and we're looking for about 150 units plus. So just, as an economic standpoint for our KPs and sponsors, that's kind of where we want to hit.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And for those of you in the audience who don't know me, I'm more than just a pretty face. I have a background in e-commerce, mass marketing, which is lead capture and online sales funnels, integrating all that stuff into websites. And so that and some marketing is what I'm doing in this sort of content creation with sponsors to get my foot in the door in the GP team. But I do have a little itty bitty favor to ask you in the audience there, which is if you look under my hand over here, you'll see the red button of anger that says subscribe. And you don't want it to be the red button of anger. You want it to be the gray button of tranquility. I'm laying this on pretty thick today, aren't I?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
the
are.
gray button of tranquility. And all you have to do is you need to click on that red button of anger to turn it into the gray button of tranquility. It costs you nothing, and it means that YouTube starts to pay for these videos instead of me. So please do that. All it means is that my videos might show up in your list of suggestions, but it doesn't obligate you to do anything else. You're already doing me a huge favor. And Moses, speaking of huge favors, you've done me a huge favor by joining me today. Thank you so much. This has been awesome to get to know you a little bit better.
Definitely, Dan. I really appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Thanks, man.